Hello, sweet souls. It's DTO, Dave the Organism. And this is my podcast where I speak with healers, visionary leaders, and participants of the Sun Valley Joy Summit that's happening in June in Ketchum, Idaho. And today I get to speak with one of the presenters, Dana Maxey. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
You're welcome. And we are going to discuss your workshop and what you're going to be sharing. So, first of all, for people that don't know who you are, the podcast series is an opportunity for people that are getting excited to attend the Joy Summit to learn more about all the presenters. So, 5Q interview. Here we go with question number one. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you'll be sharing at the Sun Valley Joy Summit.
Perfect. Okay. My name is Dana Maxey. I'm a multimedia artist. I have spent my entire life in the arts and also the healing arts working. Have a degree in Ayurveda, have many certifications in different modalities of healing. But my through line has always been art. And I've worked in the theater, I've worked in music, chefing, gardening, you name it, whatever is creative. I like to keep moving. I like my hands to be making things. And I enjoy making some sort of a doodle or some sort of creative mess every day of the week. What we'll be working on in the workshop is I am teaching something that's called The Art of You, and it is a creative collage workshop that takes us in through a meditative process into discovering our inner artist. And it's a conversation. It becomes a conversation. The conversation happens through meditation and then the creation of a collage that starts to represent who you are as a creative being on this planet. I guess that's going to answer that question.
Extraordinary. I love that. Love that word collage too, especially as an artist. Put it all together, little multi-dimensional experience. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so question number two is, how does creativity and meditation intersect in your work, and why is it such a powerful combination?
I would say that creativity and meditation are my work. And I've been a long time meditator. I get up very early every morning and meditate. My husband and I now have a practice that we've done quite some time together. We get up, we meditate, we have our little coffee, we chit chat, we meditate, we do some work with a particular program. And then we go upstairs and we do yoga together and have a movement segment of our lives. And then either go off on a walk together or he goes off on his walk and I get to work at my desk. But the meditation clears the channels for me of all the garbage that might have been in my life yesterday, or this little tussle and that little hassle. And it just clears the slate so that when I walk upstairs to get busy with a pencil or with a brush or with my guitar strings or whatever it may be, that I am in a clear, neutral space so that I can be a channel of new work. And that's how I would say they intertwine together is the work for me. And when I don't do that, it can be a mess.
Absolutely. Yeah, we deserve to be in a place of stillness and peace. And my personal creative process, which I know you're familiar with my music, has been to have a ritual of being still, to be in nature, to meditate, walk our labyrinth here at Embody Costa Rica, or just to relax, even if it's just lying down in shavasana, taking yoga, whatever it might be. And I feel like that opens the channel for creative ideas to come in, right? Because then if I'm this open canvas, if I'm this blank slate of possibilities in this cosmic galactic voyage that we're on, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I hear a bird chirp and I'll be like, ooh, that could be a song or I
Mm-hmm.
hear, the creek nearby, or I hear some children laughing in the neighborhood nearby. And something can just inspire me that maybe I was not tuned into. So I feel like meditation for me personally has been a massive breakthrough experience, because then it allows me to open up and powerfully with my music. So I love how you just shared about how those combinations not only help you personally, but of course in your workshops and what you teach and coach and share in the world, how it can all come together.
Sure. And just to riff on that for just a sec, years ago I had issues. I mean, because anxiety is a buzzword right now for a lot of people. There's a lot of unrest, a
Yeah,
lot of
mental
people that
health
are
is
dealing with
everything.
mental health issues. And when I was in my early 30s, I had some issues with anxiety. I would fall asleep, I'd sleep for about an hour, and then all of a sudden I'd wake up and and I would be in an anxious state. And
Mm.
at one point, I decided, well, if you're up, what if you began meditating? What if you just sat in the stillness? And what if you started investigating what is this that's causing the
Mm.
anxiety? And usually, what I'd find was that I'm playing in the future and I'm not right now.
Yeah.
And I started a meditation process that occurred in the middle of the night whenever I woke up with that. I started it many years ago as a way to help myself. And I mean, I'm just going to get into this because what I did at first was I'd get nervous and I'd go have a shot of something like tequila and try to go back to sleep so that I could be up and ready for the work next day. And then I thought, well, that's really a brilliant idea. Duh, no. And so I started meditating instead and got myself on a path, and through a program of AA, of Alcoholics Anonymous, I gave myself a whole new avenue in order to be able to be a creative person and to be able to be in presence, because that anxiety for me was futurizing, or worrying about the past, or worrying about I said, or worrying about garbage in the trunk. And instead I'm present. And as you just said, I'm present. You're present when you finish your meditation. And then suddenly the whole world opens up, and nature opens up. Yesterday, we finished our yoga class, and I mean, my husband and I, our yoga practice, and we looked up and there was three birds called oroscos. They were sitting in the tree of all pink blossoms. And all of a sudden I was in this chinoiserie pattern of like an old chinoiserie pattern, and I got my pens out and started drawing it all out, and
Oh, I love that.
that was just because I took the time to sit still. So I hope I didn't go overboard on that explication, but I think a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people are challenged right now with addiction, and challenged with
Mm-hmm.
anxiety, and challenged with things because so much is coming at us at once. A lot of times we don't know where to put it.
Mm. Yeah, and I agree with you. The garbage in the trunk and whatever's in the past, and like Ram Dass said, just be here now, be
Be
in the
here
present,
now.
and just snap
Mm-hmm.
yourself into that. And I love the fact that you got to have a breakthrough moment of relying on this substance that was going to be outside of yourself to fix you, right? But it was
Correct.
always, it's an inside job. That's the
It's an
trick of the
inside
universe,
job.
right? It's like within, you
It,
got to just say, oh, I'm going
yeah,
to have this, let my body just readjust and be present, and then get back to sleep, or whatever it was that was bothering you from the anxiousness. Like, oh, I can just let that go. When they say streams of consciousness, I always imagine being by a stream and hearing the babbling brook, and it's like those
sure.
sounds you hear at night when you want to go to sleep. So just like let it go, right? Relax.
Well, when you get there, what is true in this moment? What is true? I'm in a comfy bed. What is true? My beloved is asleep next to me. What is true? I had a marvelous dinner. What is true? The stars are out above me, and I'm lined up with the planets if I get out of my
Hmm.
own way. What is true in all those
Yes.
moments? All of a sudden, in for this moment, for right now, nothing's wrong. I'm creating what's wrong. And and the reason I just shared what I shared, I didn't want to overshare, but I don't want to say that, oh, I just meditate and everything's been cool in my whole life. Well, that's baloney. None of us have
Yeah.
had everything cool all the time. So I just
Absolutely.
wanted to be transparent in the
Of
sense
course.
that
Yeah, these are tools that we
these are
use.
tools that I've had to learn through, getting in my own way a hell of a lot.
Absolutely. Right. All the breakdowns lead to the breakthroughs for sure.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, speaking about tools,
Yeah.
question 3 is asking you to share and walk us through the 4 pillars of creativity and how they support personal artistic expression.
Thank you. Well, they were developed out of 5 years ago. I was starting a new business, and I have a friend who's a creative business coach, and I asked him for a session, and he gave me a list of the 20 values, and he asked me to list them in the value, of where they were in lists of importance. And health was on that list. Well, I am an athlete. I grew up in an athletic household. I've always eaten well. I've taken very good care of myself. So health was 20th on the list because I thought, I got this. Well, 14 days later, I couldn't lift my head off the pillow. And I won't go into the details of it, but malaria was included, a thyroid condition, and late life menopause, and it all just came crashing down upon me. And out of that, it took me several years. I came upon the 4 pillars that keep me healthy and keep me creative, and they are personal care, which is radical self-care and self-nurturance, meaning sleep and cleanliness, daily practices of cleanliness, meaning that when I was really sick, it was really hard to bathe and be clean and all that kind of thing. And I was a mess. And so just daily self-care, putting on a fresh shirt, putting on a little makeup if I want, or doing my hair. Anyway, that's one. And personal care also means meditation practices as well. Food. The second one is movement is medicine. If you don't move it, you lose it. And I find that there's a marvelous grace in movement, not over exercising or becoming type A with it for me, but fluid movement of yoga, of walking, of swimming, of hiking behind my house, and just finding a fluid way of moving my body and doing it with inquiry. If I find that there's a pain in something, what is it? And what is it connected to? And where does that lead to? And how can I shift the way I'm moving? Am I out of balance? Do I need to go see a chiropractor? Do I need to go see a massage therapist? All the things that are inquiring that help me to start to balance out and align things out. So that's movement. And then creative expression, of course, just playing and doodling. It's play. It's getting out of our own way and playing. And maybe my doodling and drawing my favorite coffee cup at the table, and nothing more than that, drawing the morning coffee cup, and suddenly I come up with an idea for a new workshop. And so it's not necessarily that coffee cup that I'm drawing is going to become some art out in the world and be hung in a museum, but the getting out of my own way and the creative expression of just doodling and meditating in the doodle, all of a sudden my mind was opened up to come, and I got to download a new workshop, or I got to download a new story idea or a new poem. Sometimes I'm in the middle of something and a new poem comes flying in, and I got to grab a piece of paper and write it because I stayed out of my own way, and I wasn't trying to be the artist or have any expectation about where it's going to go, And so that's the creative expression practice. And then spiritual practice, we go back to meditation. I go back to yoga. I have a kirtan band. It's not my band, but I'm part of a kirtan band down here where we do sing mantras and chanting and sing for world peace and sing to help those in our community balance out a busy week. We do it on Friday nights. Whatever that spiritual practice is for you, walking in nature, just sitting still, reading a good book. Maybe it's that golden milk or a good cup of tea. I don't know. So, it's not for me to decide what your spiritual practice is, but I found that those pillars, when I started exploring all 4 of them on a daily basis, then I got to open up and become more and more and more present to my life and the gift that it is. And I got to lose that red wagon of piles of junk that I was dragging along behind me. And I stopped worrying about the future. And that's new. It's new for me. It's a beautiful new practice. And that's why I'm promoting it in the work I'm doing.
Yes, yes, yes. I love that. The 4 pillars. Now it leads us into question number 4. So it's a magic number, apparently. Although 3 is the magic number, which you just shared. Okay, so what do you hope that the participants at your workshop will take away from what you're going to be sharing and how they can apply it to their daily lives? And because we're here on this podcast, because you already shared this wealth of knowledge, anyone listening, what do you feel they can take away from the 4 pillars and all that you're going to be sharing?
The key thing in the workshop, I believe, is getting out of your own way and becoming a channel of the inner parts of us that are you or me that we don't normally see because we put so many expectations. And so what I've noticed is friends and different people come to me about art. You know, I'm not a great artist. I draw every day. I'm not a great artist. You'll probably never see my stuff in a museum. I found out years ago, one day I realized that I make cartoons. I do cartoon art. It's cartoony, it's naive, but it's alive and it's vibrant and it's really fun. And I found that through exploring. I didn't, you know, I used to try to create exact replicas of things and do stuff in a realistic manner, and it always came out cartoony. And then one day I just embraced that I make cartoony art, and suddenly I was present. And so in this workshop, working on the collage through the meditation, I want to help us, you, everyone, to start to make contact with that inner guidance, that inner artist. I feel like we have many aspects to ourselves, like within the Hindu pantheon. You know, we have all these different gods and goddesses that represent different aspects of us, and that's within each of us as well. And so when I want to play, I want to contact my inner artist, and who is that? And what if I just started tearing magazines and I started getting out paints and I started just looking at pictures that made me feel like I'm looking at myself, and we start putting it together into a collage where when you put it up on the wall, you start to see who you are as a creative being through those pictures. And then for me, I hope that it's an inspiration for you when you've got it hanging on your wall in your office, or you maybe out of that you go home and you make a creative space for yourself. And maybe it's only a tiny little table in a room because you're in a studio apartment, or maybe you get to have your own warehouse that you get to do big art in it. But I hope that this unveils that aspect of art, all of us, that is creative, because there's just an enormous movement that's going on. There's many enormous movements going on, but one enormous movement that is going on is that people are realizing we are all creative beings. And there's just a plethora of workshops on creativity and 10-minute drawing classes on Instagram and Facebook, and the sharing of artistic creations. And whether they're good, bad, or ugly, it's just expression, and it's a way of collaborating, and it's a way of sharing that union of all of us within all of us. And so my hope in this workshop is that I share with you through a meditative process how we connect quickly with that inner source, with that inner artist within each of us, and then together start collaborating on these collages, or picking up this pen and starting to doodle, and all of a sudden it goes into a spiral, and then from the spiral it goes into this, and oh my god, it became a snake, and this came into this, and the next thing you know, you drew this painting, whether it's cartoony or it looks like Picasso or, you know, Whistler's mother. Who cares? It's that you engaged yourself with that creative aspect.
Hooray for self-expression. We're on the same team.
Yeah.
And we're all creators, right?
Yeah. And I'm using the metaphor of a pen and art, but you know, music. does a poem come
Yes.
to you? Does the hum, look at you, yes. Does a hum come to you? Does a melody come to you? Does a play come to you? Does cooking risotto come to you? That's
Yes.
all art. It's all the arts. It's all the arts. Gardening, you know.
Hmm.
So it's
Absolutely.
yeah. So
Yeah, creativity is creativity, and we're part of
mhm,
creation. We get to be creators. It's our birthright to be creative and
mhm.
self-expressed. And why else are we here? We're not here to just be a ball of gobbledygook, right? We're here to,
Right,
we get to like
right,
do what we choose and be expressive. I mean, I've seen these
right.
videos of like they'll put a paintbrush in like the nose of an elephant, a trunk, and they'll just
Yeah,
like be painting the elephants like sometimes more creative than half of humanity. And it's like, hey,
agreed.
if an elephant can do it,
Agreed.
like come on, everyone.
Agreed. Yeah, there's a woman on Instagram who has a dog. She trains him to do everything, and she's an artist. And the dog goes right next to her, picks up the paintbrush, and
Ah, I
does
love it.
art, puts it in its mouth, and does art. And I thought we're all creative, beautiful, creative
Hmm.
beings. And I think the more we unite in that, the more balance we'll find, and the unrest will start to ripple out till it becomes less existent.
Yeah, because we
Will we
transmute
will we all be in
emotions, right?
euphoria ever? I'm not sure if it'll happen in
Yeah,
my lifetime, but we can aim high,
you know how it
baby.
is. We're awake, we're asleep, we're clear, we're unclear. That's just the human journey, right? There's ups and downs, a whole
Exactly.
roller coaster. But I
Exactly.
definitely recognize for me personally when I've had whatever, I mean, as you were sharing something personal, and I'll mimic what I had to happen personal. When my parents were going through a divorce when I was a teenager, I was like emotionally unaware of how to express it or transmute the energy. But me playing the drums and just rocking out with my friends and just getting those emotions out, even though I didn't know how cathartic it was. In the end, when I look back, I'm like, whoa, I'm so glad I had music because I could have turned to drugs or alcohol or addiction, or I was just like playing music with my friends. And now that I look back, I'm like, ooh, that was really intelligent that my mom classically trained me on piano to then know that music is an outlet for self-expression and artistic abilities, and who knows what we're going to be going through in life on a global scale, on a macro or on a micro level of what's going on with us. But yeah, I can honestly say that music like saved me from like possibly going into a deeper state of depression or not knowing. And
Sure.
then it was community
Absolutely.
building too, just like what you shared.
Sure.
And you do kirtan and you're singing with other people, and it's community gathering, and like, oh, we're all in unison and we're all connected no matter what garbage and junk and stuff that's going on. And we get to be in this one voice and this one mantra and really unite together. And yeah, we have these blips on the radar where we're like, it's all perfect, it's all connected. And then of course something happens and we're like, so it's great that you
Sure.
have these tools and these pillars of
Sure.
creativity that give
Sure.
us what we
And
have.
I think that's the key. I look at young kids in athletics, and we have I have a friend's son, and, he has, I mean, I have it, ADHD, he's got it
Yeah.
severely, but he plays basketball and he's amazing at basketball, and off he goes. And, his mom realizes that 5 to 6 days a week, he's got to get out on that court and get that energy out so it gets channeled
So
in a
important. Yep.
way that's forward, and they don't have to stick them on Ritalin,
Yeah.
and
And it's
and
teamwork.
I'm not, and believe me, I'm not taking down Ritalin. I mean,
Yeah.
there's medicine needed in many
Yeah.
different
But there's
instances,
also natural
but there's also
alternatives
natural
if you
ways to
want to.
support and boost yourself so that maybe if that's needed, it can be in lesser doses.
Yeah,
And that's why,
absolutely.
the movement is so key. And
Hmm.
the stillness, and the same thing as the movement is the stillness. We've got to take time for stillness. And I was one of those busy hands or happy hands. Let's keep going, roll, roll, roll. I got a list to
Hmm.
get done today, and
Hmm.
then I'd lay down at night and be like, God. And my husband has taught me that, there's just goof off time. It's all right to goof off,
Yeah, to
it's all
play
right
and
to do nothing.
yeah, be in a flow and relax. Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, talking about artistic expression, creativity, question number 5 is how people connect with you. And here is your website.
Yep.
And this is an amazing way to have fun and be creative and self-expressed. And here's more information about you and Bob. There's some fun. There's some goofing off right there. That
Yeah,
looks
there's
awesome.
some goofing off. Yes,
Right on cue.
exactly.
Love it.
Exactly.
So good.
Well, we have a band together and we make art together. Our whole life has been creative. It's been a creative, just like with you and Hema. It's been a way to creatively express, and
absolutely. And this is your Instagram.
I've become the artist. Yeah. Oh,
yep.
There we go. Yeah.
Showing people being creative, working together on and individually on different projects.
There's the nothing. There's my nothing. There was my image at nothing.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Perfect. Love it right here. Yeah, just tranquilo. You and the cat relaxing.
Yeah.
I love that. And then you have a podcast yourself, which I want to share with everyone, called thejuicypause.com. And of course, you have episodes out there, conversations, tools, and reflections along the road to becoming a wisdom woman. Amazing. So it looks like there's lots of opportunities for people to see your different episodes. Love it. Okay, so now let's talk about the Sun Valley Joy Summit. Anyone that's interested, they can go to sunvalleyjoysummit.com. And this is all about bringing joy and the joy of being you to yourself, to others. And it's a summer camp vibe for the mind, body, and soul. And I want to acknowledge Hillary Anderson for being a powerful leader to call forward all of these amazing speakers and presenters like yourself, Dana, that are going to be there to share their zones of genius. And this is happening Wednesday, June 11th through the 15th, 2025. And this is the third annual. It's all happening. And this year just feels so incredibly juicy because there's so many powerful people that are going to be there. And I thank you for being on the podcast today to share about your gifts, your workshops. And I encourage everyone out there that's watching to go to the websites that we just mentioned. And you can see those in the description and the show notes below. So you can directly go to the links that Dana has to offer, follow her on Instagram, follow her own podcast, and of course, the Sun Valley Joy Summit. Thank you so much, Dana.
Thank you so much, DTO. It's so good to see you again. Please give him a big hug from me.
I will, Claudio.
And Amber as well.
I know, the whole community is coming down. The Embody tribe.
Exactly.
Okay.
All right. Love
Bye-bye.
you. Adios,
Love
amor.
you.
Ciao, ciao.